Good morning, everyone. We'll call to the meeting of the Butler County Salary Board. Anyone sign up for public comment, Lori?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First is Mike Vasovich.
May I approach the commissioners and the controller? I honestly, I believe you folks have this document already that I prepared. I had two mistakes on it on percentages. One on the inmate percentages, which went to 92 from the previous, and the other on the union employees that went to 126%. So I just didn't want you to have any information that was inaccurate. Good morning, Commissioners and Controller. I'm Michael Rasevich. I'm the captain of the Butler County Prison and also an at-will employee. I'm here representing the captains and the treatment supervisor of Butler County Prison. We appreciate being employed and serving the county and its residents. As employees and residents, we understand that there are financial challenges to both the county and our own family budgets. The use of the word raise is a misnomer. It should be replaced with the cost of living increase. Annually, the cost of living rises. Increased taxation and inflation reduces the value of our wages. We at-will employees are a small fraction of the county's workforce, and because we are not protected by a bargaining unit or one specific elected official, we usually are the first to have our wages and benefits diminished to include annual cost of living increases or raises, sick day reduction, and contributing to our medical coverage. It is a feeling of being helpless when January 1 comes and a decision is made that an at-will employee will not receive a raise or cost of living increase. However, the union employee that we supervise and work beside are going to receive a 3.5% increase. In 2008, the inmate population average was 200. Presently, it's 384. This is an increase of 92%. Of that total, 104 inmates are paying room and board to our county from various governmental agencies. In 2008, there were 43 union employees for a captain to supervise. Presently, we have 99. This is a 126% increase, not including 70 irregular part-time staff members that are not in the union. Not only are we responsible for the prison 24/7, during non-business hours, we are responsible for the security around the perimeter of the government center, district justice, and adult probation offices. In closing, we would like to point out that every facet of our job responsibilities have increased without any additional captains being hired. Our subordinates, union members, annual pay increases have surpassed ours by 10.5% over the last 10 years. This means that our subordinate sergeants will make almost as much as a captain or treatment supervisor does when they receive a 15-year longevity raise of 2%, which we are not entitled to. Hopefully, this information that we've provided you will assist you in helping us gain and maintain parity. I'd like to thank the board, and I'd also like to thank Warden Schaefer. This is the first time that we've been allowed to come forward, or I should say been supported to come forward and allowed to address the salary board. So I appreciate you for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
We
Mike.
appreciate your
Yeah,
remarks.
I'd like to address this issue. I mean, I went down and talked to Phil Schaefer, who was over the holidays, and so I talked to the assistant warden. I believe this is a big problem within our county. I gave Phil the information. Did he share with you the salary study I gave to you? I gave to Phil?
I did not see that study, sir.
Okay, well, I'll get that to you. But the salary study does confirm that the captains and the drug treatment supervisor, Justin Baptiste, are 10 to 12% underpaid. If we keep putting a Band-Aid on this, look what's happened here is the friends of the commissioners and political people are at the high of the salary study, okay? And if we give us across the board 3% increase, what the salary study shows is if we don't rectify this problem, you've got a definite problem there. I'm upset about this, but the information's not getting out, okay? basically the people that are at the highest won't get any increase, the favorites. Okay, that's the problem. You know, there's 22 people in this county who are woefully underpaid, and we have to address that issue. But if we just give, the cost of living this year is 1%. So if we give a 1% increase, but we give 3% to everybody, you won't get your increase because the money will be gone. You know, I wanted to address this. I'm very disappointed that Phil didn't share with you this information. I'll go to the captains direct, but I'm going to make this public. Okay, I'm going to make this issue public. And I really confirm that you are right on your facts and figures, okay? But to not address this issue and not address it, I believe there's inequities between men and women, you know, that have to be addressed. The salary study is proof that we're not doing what's fair and equitable to all the county employees. Now, we don't want to there's a lot of pressure not to address this issue. That's not what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to vote to address the issue and force the issue. This is unfair to women, minorities, or special interest, or groups like you as captains. You know, so I am disappointed that you didn't get the information. I'll make sure it's dispersed to the whole community. But I'm sure if you're not aware of this, we have to solve this problem. You know, just given across the board, 3% increases when inflation rates are 1%, by almost every index is not the answer. Correcting the injustice to the captains and Justin Baptiste is the answer. And the salary study gave us that. We have proof. We have to act on it. Thank you very much for coming today. I absolutely appreciate it. Okay?
Thank you, Mike, and I would like to address it too. First of all, most of what Jim said is not true. The figures he put out, you can sit down, Mike.
Oh, okay.
The figures Jim put out are completely wrong. For instance, the first number, first assistant district attorney, he said, Exton said that they were making $81,382 when they're actually making $87,414. You can check that in the personnel office with their W-2s. And the whole list that he gave out is wrong. Secondly, he states that the friends are the ones that we give raises to, which is such a stupid thing to say. I never heard anything more ridiculous. We're either going to give raises to everybody as a cost of living raise, or we're not. That's what we voted on. And secondly, he says we're not addressing this. Why do you think we did the salary study? We're going to address it. That's one of the things we have committed to do this year, is address the salary inequities throughout the county. We have the salary study. We got the final draft just this week, I believe. It just came in maybe yesterday. Yeah. I haven't even seen it yet. I just saw the package come in. So we have the final draft. Now we can start addressing it, and we will address it. We realize, Mike, and we appreciate your coming. We know there's inequities, and that's why we did the salary study. However, throughout the county, in the salary study, I believe it only showed that 2 people were less than the minimum wage of all the counties surveyed in the salary study, and only 2 employees were over. So our employees are within the salary study. The other counties are being paid, the counties that were surveyed for this. We are addressing it, and we will continue to address it. Thank you.
One other first sign for speaking is Carmine Scotis.
Good morning, Commissioners and Controller. Since I'm not an elected official and will not be able to vote on the proposed increase for management and non-union employees, I would like to address the Butler County Salary Board on behalf of the 30 directors and non-union staff in Human Services before a vote is taken this morning. Butler County Human Services has enjoyed a considerable amount of success this year in implementing cost-saving measures and aggressively pursuing additional sources of revenue for our programs that benefit the residents of Butler County. A few examples are, we received competitive awards, $245,000 to expand homeless services, $160,000 to build community supports for persons requiring intensive mental health services, and over $400,000 to expand services for our aging citizens. This is especially extraordinary in these times with a funding environment that has seen substantial cuts for counties across Pennsylvania for a number of years. Not only was our Children and Youth Department able to save about $200,000 in their block grant, but we were able to redirect these funds to help continue critically needed drug and alcohol services, funding for which has been cut or flat funded for many years. In total, this is almost $1 million. I could also share a number of our successes to improve the quality and accessibility of services, but I will save that for our commissioners meeting later this month. Our union staff, who are very conscientious and dedicated, have helped us to realize these accomplishments and are well deserving of their raise. By the same measure, our management and non-union staff are also well deserving of an equal increase. In fact, to a large extent, it is through their initiative, expertise, and innovative leadership that Butler County has achieved these notable successes this year.
Thank you. Ryan?
I'd like to address that. Two of the people that are severely underpaid in his office, and I'm fighting for them, is Donna Generetsky and Amy Peters. I'm not saying there's not other ones, but I am not doing, Bill McCarrier gave his, he carte blanche says I'm a liar all the time. If I made a mistake on one figure, okay, I got it off a county data, okay? I got it off a county data sheet. I'll go over that, okay? But to sit here and say there's not inequity is absolutely wrong. We have long-term managers in your office, Carmine, that aren't, I believe you're underpaid, okay? And I believe that I saw the salary study, and I believe these people are underpaid. We have to do something about it. Now, there's a lot of people that are overpaid. 4 secretaries in my office making wages and benefits, $70,000 a year. Come on. Who in the private sector makes $70,000 as a secretary? Nobody. We have to address these and act. It's not fair to everybody. Okay, my job up here is to be fair to the taxpayer, fair to the employees. Favoritism is rampant around here. For Bill McCarrier to say it's not, it's ridiculous. All the employees know that's not true. Okay? That is my job, and that's what I'm going to do. I ran on being fair and equitable to the women, our minorities, and everybody in this county, and that's what I'm going to carry out. Thank you for coming, Carmen. I appreciate your.
I would just like to say, I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Eckstein. We did not have a salary study before to work with when these salaries were established for the people in my office. But what I did use was I used the state crosswalk of compensation, and pretty much within the state crosswalk. So not having a salary study to work from, that's basically how I established the salary range.
Thank you, Carmine. And I would like to address what Mr. Eckstein said this time. I don't have a secretary. I have an administrative assistant. She is much more than what a secretary would do. For instance, she led the drive to reduce or to do away with civil service in Butler County and bring in the merit pay system, which is going to save the county many, many dollars over the years, and also bring in better employees as they're hired. She also pioneered or led the salary study. She is not a secretary. She is an administrative assistant, and she is certainly worth what she is paid. And if she was in the private sector, I'm sure she would make a lot more than she's making as my administrative assistant. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
I've worked for 6 years to get the salary study, and I've tried ever since I became a commissioner. We finally got it. And we are going to work with it in January, February, and it may even take till March. But it's a perfect time because the union contracts are going to be taken into consideration this year, because in 2015, we're going to have new contracts. So if there was ever a time for this all to come together, it's now. And for Mr. Eckstein to say that we have special people that we do things for and so forth, that's wrong. Because everybody got the same raise, whether they were union or non-union. And I've worked very, very hard to get this salary study. And we are going to use it as an instrument to put this Butler County on the map for the future years to come. And when he jumps ahead of everybody else with figures that are not correct, and goes and tells union employees that he's gonna give them more money, and they're in a union, we can't do that. He has really caused a tremendous amount of disruption with our employees. And we've already said, and I mean, if you go back and look at the meetings, we've said we'll work on the salary study in January and February and maybe March. But he had to jump out ahead of everyone else like he's the man for the employees. All he's looking for, folks, is votes. He wants to be reelected. And that's all Jim Eckstein's looking for. Thank you.
Anybody else, Lauren?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll move ahead. We have minutes from our
Can I say
December.
something? May I say something?
You didn't sign up, Kim, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let her sign up. Go ahead and sign in. Speak. I want you
wanna
to
sign
speak.
in?
Sign in after the fact. Come up and speak. I'd be glad to hear you.
Um, I just want to let the employees know what has happened. Apparently, it's come to our attention that Commissioner Eckstein has handed out a homemade or compiled analysis of the salary study. What I want employees to know throughout the county is that the handout they received from Commissioner Eckstein is not any part of the county's commission salary study. The handout from Commissioner Eckstein is compiled by taking the employee's base pay from the organizational chart and multiplying the base pay by 2,080, which is the total of 52 weeks multiplied by 40 hours. All an employee has to do is look at their handout from Commissioner Eckstein and look at their W-2 form and see that the end two totals are different. They are apples and oranges. Longevity was not factored into Commissioner Eckstein's handout. Unfortunately, this misled many of our employees to think that they are underpaid. To rectify the current problem, we have compiled a damage control spreadsheet available for all county employees responding to the previous and erroneous handout compiled by Commissioner Eckstein and his assistant. We will make this available with an electronic letter from Commissioner McCarrier following today's public meeting. We will work even more diligently in the weeks ahead to provide additional and forthcoming materials to county employees pertaining to the commission salary study, and hopefully provide some informational meetings with the analysts so that they can ask specific questions related to their respective departments. The results of the county's commission salary study have longevity built into their current base salaries. However, overtime and comp time is not factored in. 65 to 70% of our county's employees are over the midpoint range because of longevity. People are staying and employee retention is high. There are 3 positions countywide which are over the max point and 2 positions which are under the minimum because of department restructuring. All other positions countywide fall between the minimum, the midpoint, and the maximum ranges at this present point in time, and that stands true prior to today's vote.
Thank you, Kim.
I'd like to say this to that. You know, if I made a mistake on longevity, I'll admit that. You know, I'm not perfect, and if I made a mistake on not including longevity and did the base pays like Kim said I did, which I don't doubt her word on that, okay? But it still doesn't address the fact that the captains are underpaid. I mean, it's absolutely, it's just ridiculous. The captains at the prison are 10% underpaid. You know that Donna Janoreski is underpaid. You know, you're saying we're doing damage control. You know, the facts I put out, that those 20 people that are underpaid, they're underpaid. And a lot of people are overpaid. Look, I don't care, Kim, you've got your opinion on this, okay? And what we call a secretary, I've got the most well-educated secretary I could have, nobody could beat Peggy is the most educated secretary, or if you want to give it a special name, personal assistant, or whatever you want to call it, in the county. She knows she's overpaid. She knows that she should get a 1% increase, like the senior citizens that are paying, you know, there's a 1% cost of living index. Where did we come up with the 3%? Who made up the 3%? The cost of living is not that. If we're going to give people a cost of living raise, then we need to address that. You know, going by what the other two commissioners said and Kim said here, the captains at the prison aren't underpaid. Donna Jurnaretzky's not underpaid. These people aren't underpaid, these 20 people. Hogwash. It's not true, okay? Anybody that wants to believe that is not looking at reality, okay? And, you know, Amy Peters is underpaid. I can go person after person. You're saying I made a little mistake, though I'm wrong about the 20 people. That what if they file an EEOC complaint against us for, you know, my point is, it's wrong. Just because they speak every time after I speak and call me a liar or saying what I say is completely untrue. The captains are underpaid. You know, we didn't address it. We're not addressing it with the 3%. They're still underpaid by 7%. And who really cares about that? Jim Eckstein does. I didn't talk to any union employees or do this, okay? Well, you're saying I did. Who was it? Okay.
I'll tell you after the meeting.
Okay, okay. I talked to a union employee. Wow. At the motor pool because Marty Hoover was not there, okay? That's the only one I talked to was Eric Dodd related to Marty. I'm not embarrassed about this at all. I'm proud of the 20 people that are severely underpaid and me sticking up for them. I'm proud of it for the captains and he missed his 2 assistant wardens. The two wardens are underpaid too. I'm proud to sit up here and say that for the captains and the wardens, okay?
Let's move on.
Okay, we all agree with you, Jim. There are people underpaid, and the captains are, and the shift commander and the different people are underpaid. That's why we did the salary study, and that's why we're going to address it. Okay.
May I have the approval of the minutes for December 18,
So moved.
2013?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And January 6th of 2014.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
Yes, under the management non-union, effective January 1st of 2014, those management non-union positions listed below including a 3% increase to their base rate of pay from bridge crew through the end of Sunnyview. I ask your approval.
I make the motion.
Is there a second to the motion? I will second it. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address some of the issues that you've briefly brought forward. First of all, I don't know if there are any inequities. I'd imagine that there are a few. I am excited, just as all of you are, to see the salary study, but I'm going to reserve judgment until the final report is seen by all of us. I do agree with Commissioner Pinkerton in the sense that I think this is a perfect time to make adjustments. And I think it is great timing that we'll have the salary study in time for these contracts as they come up. But it is going to require some tough choices. We've got to continue to benchmark, not only against other similar-sized counties, but against the private sector. For those of you who followed my race and getting here, we consistently did that during my campaign, benchmarking not only the Controller's Office, but other county departments as well. And like I said, I think this is going to take some rolling up of our sleeves. I intend to work with all 3 of you, not just 2 of you, not just 1 of you, all 3 of you. My office will have an open door to work with all of you. But at the end of the day, I hope we can come to a consensus. Now, I would contend with the 3% raise that I think a portion of that is a raise, just because our seniors in our county are, in their Social Security tax, which is the majority of our seniors, are getting a 1.5% cost of living adjustment this year. I think any reasonable person would agree with me when I say that coming into this situation on my 3rd day or 2nd full day is not exactly an ideal situation. But I believe that the best thing I can do is to perform my most basic fiduciary responsibility as a county controller. And that's why me and my wonderful staff already have been running the numbers. As you can see here, to look at the net impact and to make sure that this is budgeted, or that's confirmed with the Commissioner's office, to make sure that we're able to meet payroll without any additional tax burden on our taxpayers. So I have made my decision, and I'm comfortable with my vote.
I'd like to table this motion and ask that we give a 1.5% raise. After hearing Ben Holland speak, the senior citizens going to get a 1.5% raise. I think whatever's good for our senior citizens should be good for the county employees, and I'd like to table this and have us vote on a 1.5% increase for all county employees.
Now, you're making two motions.
Okay.
One is motion to table, one is to change the raise to 1.5%. Which motion do you want to make?
I'd like to change the raise to 1.5% for all.
You would like to make a motion to amend the motion to 1.5%?
From 3%, that is correct.
Is there a second to that motion? That motion dies for lack of a second. We will move on then to address the main motion.
Wait a minute.
I'm just saying, the fact is, we have some inequities here. So we've had some previous row officers come forward with 3%. We need to get everybody on the same page moving forward, Jim. And I look forward to addressing these issues with all three of you. But the bottom line is, we're picking this ball up halfway. We've just got to carry it across the finish line here.
I'd like to say this. I really respect Jack McMillan. We fought like cats and dogs sometimes, okay? He has 16 years experience on the job. Jack McMillan already voted on this, okay? To come in, no, with all due respect then, he voted on this already. It was already done, we voted no. You know, you can come in here after 3 days in office and vote against what Jack did, but I think that's wrong. I don't think we have the money to cover it in our budget. I know you say it's in every office, but there's supposed to be a $5.2 million general fund carryover. I don't find it where it's at. I cannot find the money. We still owe from the fourth quarter a $1.25 million payment to BC3 that was delayed, and I think we don't have the money. My fund balance is dropping very rapidly, and I disagree with the fact that we have the money to pay for it. And I am not for unfunded mandates. Okay, basically what's happening here is an unfunded mandate. You're mandating that we give everybody this is about 300,000, so everybody knows what we're talking about here.
Actually, it's, we just did a quick calculation, just to be honest and transparent. We calculated it about 248,000, which was a little higher than I thought. Now, a portion of that is Sunnyview, contingent upon that sale, that could change. So, you know, for my office standpoint,
You Sunnyview? Or?
I did not. That includes Sunnyview.
Okay.
And that was verified by my internal auditor that audits payroll.
Okay, well, we're still spending money we don't have. Do you disagree we didn't pay BC3 the fourth quarter yet?
We did pay BC3 4 payments last year, though. All 4.
Was the fourth payment in the budget this year?
It was the prior.
Was the fourth payment in the budget this year? Was the fourth payment in the budget this year?
We paid the total,
It was
we
in
paid
my-
them the total amount of what we offered them last year.
All right,
Last year's deal.
The money is in the budget. We have the money. The budget was passed. The budget was approved at our last meeting. And that 3% increase is in there. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Ben, I didn't hear your vote.
Aye.
I'm sorry. The motion passes.
Under the row offices effective January 1st as management non-union positions, a 3% increase for the clerk of courts. And Ms. Watts is here to make the motion.
I so make the motion.
Is there a second to Lisa's motion? We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
What was the motion left?
To give her non-union employees a 3% increase.
I thought we just passed it.
No, we just did it for the commissioner's employees, not the row
Do you
officers.
have a copy of the agenda?
Sure, I have a copy of the agenda.
Okay. I was just making sure.
The motion that we just passed was for the employees of the county commissioners. Now, the row officers are coming forward to make a motion for their employees. And I think for the general public or anybody here who doesn't understand the way the system works, the people that work for Lisa Lotz, who's standing now, do not work for the county commissioners. They work for Lisa Lotz. She was duly elected, the same as the county commissioners, the same as Judy and Michelle and Judge Doer and Glenna and Diane and all these other row officers. They were duly elected. Their employees work for them. They do not work for the county commissioners. Whenever their employees consists of 4 people, Ben, Dale, myself, and Jim. However, when the row officer's employees are involved, then the row officer becomes a member of the salary board. So we have a motion and a second that, from Lisa, that her non-union employees be given the 3% increase. Is any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, the salary study shows her 2 employees are overpaid.
Motion carries.
Effective January 1st, the management non-union position listed below includes a 3% increase to their base rate of pay from the controller. Mr. Collins,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Effective January 1st of 2014, those management non-union positions listed below includes a 3% increase for the coroner. Mr. Williams, well.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, Billy has made the motion. I call him Billy because I've known him since he was a little kid.
I second.
Dale has seconded. Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Effective January 1st, those management and non-union positions listed below includes a 3% increase to their base rate of pay for the judicial system, and the president judge is here to make the motion.
So moved. I'll second it.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Effective January 1st of 2014, those management and non-union positions listed below includes a 3% increase for the Proprietary's office, and Ms. Walters is here to make the motion.
I'm going to make the motion to increase my deputies.
I'll
to
second
3%.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Effective January 1st of 2014, those management and non-union positions listed below increase, a 3% increase for the Public Defender's Office.
So moved. I'll second it.
I would note that the public defender is not an elected official, but under the county code, for some reason, he is part of the salary board when it involves his office.
I didn't do it.
And Kevin didn't write the county code, so, okay, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Effective January 1st, those management and non-union positions listed below includes a 3% increase for the Recorder of Deeds. Ms. Cassell is here to make the motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Effective January 1st of 2014, those management and non-union positions listed below includes a 3% increase for the Register of Wills. Ms. Spencer is here to make the motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
I'd like to
Oh,
say
okay.
something, I'd like to
Go ahead.
say something. One of her deputies is really overpaid. I really, I'm voting no on this. If anybody that looks at the salary study, it's very inequitable. Ms. Moser didn't participate in the study. I didn't give her the study, but, I disagree with what she's doing here. If she looked at it at all, she'd know the answer should not be to further have some people in the county with inequities and somebody in her office being way overpaid. And I personally like that person. I personally really like that person. I know him and I respect him. It's not that he doesn't do a good job, but I disagree with what you're doing. I'd just like to say that. So my answer is no.
Those in favor of the
Ms.
motion?
Ms. Moser, I'm going to abstain on this, because you have 3 votes. And, I could disclose why, but I feel since you have 3 votes, it's probably best in this situation that I abstain.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Judy, I didn't hear you. You said
Aye,
aye.
I'm sorry.
I'll abstain.
Opposed?
No.
And 1 abstention. Motion carries.
Under the Human Services Area Agency on Aging, the creation of 1 LCD specialist from January to June 30th at $17,487, no benefits and no retirement. The creation of 1 finance clerk from January to June 30th at $14.45, and the creation of 1 community liaison clerk at January to June 30th at $14.45, no benefits, and no retirement. And these positions are 100% funded through the state. May I ask your
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Just a discussion real quick on this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ben.
Just to note that these are temporary positions. One thing you'll hear me say over and over and over again, the tax dollar is a taxpayer dollar, whether it's federal, state, or local. We need to be conscious of that. You know, I was elected as a county controller, not just for county funds. I feel it's my responsibility to look out for all taxpayer dollars. Just need to be careful when we're creating these temporary positions, looking at the financial consequences. I'm learning a lot already coming into this office. Most companies out there, when they pay unemployment insurance, pay just exactly that, they pay an insurance. Because we have such a low employee turnover, we're essentially self-funded. I'm not exactly sure if that's a governmental role with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but basically if somebody's eligible for unemployment, we essentially get that invoice from the state dollar for dollar, as opposed to our percentage increasing or something of that nature. So it's something to be conscious of, and I'm sure you're aware of that. And it's been a while since I filed, because I used to file that for the company that I worked for. But, you know, Laura, just if you can look over these things as we're creating these temporary positions so that we won't create additional liability once these positions are terminated.
Thank you, Ben. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
I'd like to say, can I just say this? Look, I made this decision. Beth came to my office, and I really have to think about seniors. And she just made a very good point. I really believe Beth made a great point about the work unemployment compensation. But we did get the money, and I think this is an area of need for our handicapped elderly. And I didn't make this decision lightly about the new positions. Beth and Billy Joe came to my office and made a very persuasive case for that. And I think we're lucky to have this money, and I made that decision knowing that it was temporary, that she's going to gear this up really fast to go in people's house and ascertain they're handicapped, and some people with a lot of disabilities, and I could not, in good judgment, do that. But I agree with you, Ben, on that, okay? But they did, I know you've been in office not very long, and they briefed me. I'm sure they'll be glad to brief you the next time. They just didn't, the logistics didn't work out.
Well, it's my understanding that these are for specific projects, which calms any concerns that I have. The last thing I want to be doing is bringing people in to shift workload and then have to shift it back again. I'm just fearful that we'd be creating, new positions. So I'm comfortable in the fact that these are for specific projects.
Right. But I do take care of what you said, but I really appreciate what you did there, Beth, okay?
Okay, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under Sunview Rehabilitation Center, the creation of one fiscal director from January till June 30th at $50 an hour, no benefits and no retirement. The creation of one medical record from January 1st to January 31st, $15 an hour, no benefits and no retirement. And the creation of a board of director from January to January 31st at $20 an hour, no benefits and no retirement. Ask your approval.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all.
Kayla?
Can I say one thing, just real quick? I'd like to say this, one thing that disturbed me too, like last time, we did it different this time than last time. All the row officers jumped up, the treasurer, the DA, and Mike Sloop. And I'd like to say this, Mike Sloop, I agree with Mark Pfeffer getting a raise. He is underpaid too in the salary study, so I would agree to give Mark that. He is the only one in your office, Mike, is that correct? Yes. Okay, I just want to make it clear, I would have voted no on the other two. They did it a little different now. I think it was much better done with doing them individually. That's not what happened at the last meeting. It sort of caught me by surprise here. But I would have voted yes, and I just want to make that clear, that Mark was one of the ones that came way underpaid with the capitals. Thank you very much, Mike.
Kayla, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Eckstein, I'm confused why, I know you made it clear why you wanted to table it and not give the raise. Why would you then go and vote yes for the controller's office?
Because they deserve the raise in the salary study. they came out as woefully underpaid. Deb Huth and the first and second controller have degrees, and they're underpaid, okay? Just because they fall into the middle of the range. These gentlemen say they fall in the range, that's okay. No, if you've been here as long as Deb Huth, she is underpaid, she's an excellent employee, and I disagree with being in the range is okay. You know, that is not how I'm gonna make my decision on these employees that are underpaid. You know, the captains fell, and the Justin Baptiste, they fell within the range too. They are woefully underpaid. So that's my decision on that. Whether they're in the range, I'm judging how many years service they have and what they do for the county. And that's how I'll make my decision on this.
Thank you. One other question for you. Why did you feel the need to, in a sense, jump the gun with this salary study? I know before you said the other two commissioners don't include you and things like that. Isn't this the same thing just on the other side?
No, I'm not. No, because I feel it's intentionally being delayed. I was briefed on the salary study. I want to make this clear. I was briefed on the salary study, and there's only one, the comparison Jack McMillan caught in the contract. Now, they can disagree with this. You know, Kim can give us her point on this or Bill. That's okay with me. But the only thing that didn't come in was the comparison from the private sector to the public sector on the difference in pensions and health care costs. Well, if anybody thinks the pension here at this county and the health care, what they pay, a $50,000 employee pays about $60 a month, isn't a lot less, so it's going to skew the figures way up, okay? The figures will be jammed up, not, it wasn't, you know, I don't believe that we make a much better pension here and a much better health care benefits than in the private sector. That's my belief. And that, to the very best of my knowledge, that is the only thing not in there. And except I made a mistake on the 7%. Apparently, I don't disagree with Kim on that. I believe her that I made that mistake. And I'll admit to mistake.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Tom?
Thank you. Commissioner, according to what I wrote down too, you also approved the coroner's office.
Me or-
You
Oh, okay, sorry.
you also approved the coroner's office, so was that the same rationale?
Well, I believe his two deputies, we've had this discussion many times, and I was for a raise for those gentlemen. They're called out at all times of the night. I've had this several times to the coroner, and he's got an LPN that does a fabulous job, and he needs somebody that has a wide medical background to do that position. She's very skilled, he's pleased with her, and I had no qualms about voting that raise for his 3 employees. If anything, I believe the 2 of his deputies are still underpaid, okay? That's my belief. And I think they were held back from the salary study because they were part-time. But I really believe when I voted on that, it was from my knowledge of the salary study, and I'm glad to give them a raise.
Now,
That's
when
my answer to that.
The sheet that you distributed and some of the comments you made today guiding your votes, when you're talking about the salary study, are you referring to the final document that the county just received yesterday?
No, I'm not talking about that. I thought they were delaying. Look, it was supposed to be here in April. You know, it was supposed to be here in April, then June, then August. Then I was briefed. I was briefed for an hour and a half in Bill's office on the salary study. Then Jack McMillan, Jack was there. We all got briefed on it. They say it's not out yet because Jack got a blurb in the contract that it wasn't fully administered, okay? The guy, that it wasn't fully met. The contract wasn't fully met. So then they went back to it. Look, how long am I gonna go? We're gonna address this stuff when I'm out of office? I'm gonna address it when I'm in office. I feel really bad about some of these people that are really low in the salary study. They're highly qualified.
Can you explain what you meant when you opposed the raise for the Register of Wills office? You said that office did participate in the study, so how do you know?
Well, they did a comparison between the 4th-class counties and 8. The salary study was based on 8 4th-class counties and 9 as us, and whether they participated or not, the figure came through for that in comparison with the other 4th-class counties, okay? So I did have a figure on that in comparison to the other 4th-class counties. Now, there could be a little difference in what they do from one county to the other in that office. There's 2 officers, but it's still just off the charts high. high pay.
And Commissioner McCarrier, depending what the county determines on the salary study, for budgetary reasons, would the county even be able to make any adjustments for this calendar year?
Well, we'll have to look at the budget. We'll have to sum up the cost of any adjustments that we want to make and make sure that we have money within the budget to do that. If not, then they would have to wait until next year.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Motion to adjourn? Second? I'll second it. Those in favor say aye. Aye.